Hey riders, Eric Lange with Ride Adventures. Got a quick video here to talk through a handful of adventure bikes that I think you want to keep an eye out for in 2024 and probably beyond. I think they're going to be around for a while. So let's get into it. All right, let's start out with the heavyweight that has gotten a little bit lighter, the BMW R1300 GS. I can't believe I'm saying 1300 when I talk about that bike, but yes, they've pumped that thing up to 1300, but they've also taken 20 pounds off of the bike from its predecessor, the 1250 GS. So a step in the right direction, I say. We've got a lot of demand for the middleweight bikes these days, and so getting away from those upper 500 pounders down into at least the lower 500s looks like a lot of great ride mode settings, a lot of electronics, blind spot detection, brake assist, all sorts of stuff like that again, those of you who like those types of systems are going to appreciate on that bike. 4 different models also being offered: a base model for the road use, an off-road focused one, a 2-up model focused bike that they're going to be trying to take that passenger into consideration for, and then a fully loaded premium bike that again will include all those electronics and features that I talked about. But gosh, going back to the R80, if you will, 1100, 1200, 1250, these are all great bikes. I'm truly glad to see that BMW trimmed a few pounds off of their sort of flagship bike, and I wonder how that's going to compete then against bikes like the Multistrada and some of these other bigger middleweights that are taking the market by storm, so to speak. But BMW has been making a great bike with that boxer engine for years, and I think you can look forward to that. Next up, I'm going from Germany to China here. So the CFmoto Ibex 800. It's called the Ibex 800 here in the US, at least. I believe maybe in Europe as well. But in South America, where we're using these bikes down in Patagonia right now, it's called the 800 MT. You might have been hearing about this bike, CFmoto, parallel twin 800 engine, basically the KTM engine, has been put into this bike that is making our customers smile. We're getting great feedback out of them about the performance of this bike. The reliability has been there. This is actually our 2nd season running the 800 CFmoto down in Patagonia, and no problems that I've heard of as far as reliability standpoint. Really good quality build, high-end construction and componentry and everything like that. It's also a bike that's kind of a competitor now to what has been the BMW 750 GS and now 800 it's called. But anyway, being only a 32.5-inch seat height is noteworthy. To have 94 horsepower on a 32.5-inch seat adventure bike like that, that's a pretty neat combination. I don't think that really exists anywhere yet. So CFmoto's really got a performance machine there for you. And then it's got the 19 front and 17-inch rear wheel, which I know I'm always raving about and talking about 21s and 18s. I like that. But for a bike this size, which is about 509 pounds wet, by the way, for a bike this size, I like that 19-17 combination. I think if you take a look at it, it all balances out really well on that CFmoto Ibex 800. So a great bike I think you can expect to see more of here coming up. All right, next up, staying in China, another Chinese bike, the Kove, I believe it's pronounced Kove, K-O-V-E, Kove 800X Rally. Okay, so this is a neat one, I think. 372 pounds dry, put it right around that 400 mark by the time it's all fueled and oiled and everything like that. 13-to-1 compression ratio on that parallel twin engine, a single disc in the front, adding to the fact that this is a lightweight, athletic, fun-sounding adventure bike. 11.5 inches of ground clearance, the 21-18 wheel combination that I love and does sound a little more appropriate for this bike because it's also a taller bike with a 35-inch seat height. So imagine like this bike is going to replace what I tend to think of as the Tenere 700, finding that perfect spot for someone that wants to go out. If I'm going to pack up and go for a big ride and have to carry luggage and everything, I want something more like an Africa Twin Adventure Sport, a bigger bike. But for a day ride, and I want to be, comfortable. I've always said for the past couple of years that Tenere 700 is that sort of perfect middleweight bike that fits in there. This Kove might be the Tenere killer as far as I can tell. Look at that, almost 100 horsepower am I seeing? That light of a bike, those characteristics. Again, I have not ridden this thing yet, but look out for the Kove 800X Rally because if those bikes are turning out to be as good of a build as we're sort of seeing in some of the early reports, and I think they completed the Dakar Rally a couple years ago, and a lot of good things coming out of that brand. So look out for the Kove 800X Rally. Okay, next up is one certainly worth mentioning, the Honda Transalp XL 750, the one that just came out about a year ago. I want to say it was just released. 750 parallel twin, ride modes, selectable rear wheel ABS, about 8 inches of suspension travel, TFT display, around that $10,000 in the US mark for the introductory year. And I just got to mention the bike as being hey, Honda, they've probably done it again. We're not really proven and tested on this thing as far as how reliable the bike is, and you usually don't want to do that in the first year run of any bike, but if it's by Honda's standards, it's going to be a good, reliable bike that a lot of people are going to find right in the middle, then you could say, of the Africa Twin and the CB500X. So that Transalp sort of right in the middle, in that middleweight range, a lot more power and a bit more size than the CB500X, but quite a bit lighter and more agile and nimble for a mid-sized rider that doesn't want to be on a big Africa Twin. So I think you can watch one of our previous reviews we just did about the Transalp. We did sort of a pros and cons with one of our training instructors, Chris, and I'm hearing all good things about the Transalp, and I think you can look to see a lot more around for probably decades to come. Okay, next up, a bike that I already mentioned, the Yamaha Tenere 700. You're going to hear a lot more about this bike for years to come. Yeah, I've kind of ranked on the bike a little hard in previous videos. I'm not a real big fan of stressed member chassis, but it is ultimately a great, durable, all-around middleweight bike that does everything for a great value. Price went up. Looks like it's about $10,800 MSRP now, up from a few years ago here in the US anyway. They've got now, coming out in 2024, 3-mode selectable ABS for the front and rear. It sounds like for the front only is going to be able to be shut off completely. But anyway, you've got, again, Yamaha Tenere 700. Just expect to see it for quite a while. Unless, by the way, I predicted years ago that it would become a Tenere 800 pretty soon. Let's see what happens. But it'll be essentially the same bike, a great handling bike, right in the middle of everything you would ever want to do with a motorcycle. Is it going to replace, by the way, the Transalp? Well, a similar price point, around $10,000 US. I don't know that it's going to replace it. I think that anyone shopping for both bikes might want to just get their opportunity to ride them, sit on them, and maybe you'll know which one feels a little bit more like what you want it to feel. To me, the T7 feels a little bit more like a rally bike, a little more agile, more like a dirt bike than the Transalp does. But if you're not looking for that kind of aggressive riding and you might do more pavement time, then the Transalp might be the bike for you. But anyway, both bikes on this list, definitely worth mentioning for good reason. And finishing up the list of adventure bikes to look out for in 2024 today, the Ducati Desert X Rally. So new motocross derived suspension adds 20 millimeters of travel to the suspension that it previously had so on this rally version of the bike. So if you watch and look back on our channel a few videos ago, you'll see we did a review on the Desert X with Andrew Murray, one of our director of training. He's enjoying the bike. A lot of people are saying great things about it. It fits again back into that sort of middleweight of adventure bikes. It's not quite as heavy as some of the big 1200 type bikes. Maybe the only downside, of course, to the Ducati is that price tag. Nobody wants to pay that initial price, nor do they for the extra add-ons and upgrades. But anyway, those are just a half dozen bikes that I think will catch your eye as they have mine for 2024 and beyond in the adventure bike twin cylinder category. And what do you think? Which one is for you? Which one do you think is the best? Which do you think is the worst? Which one didn't belong on this list? So thanks for making comments below, and we'll watch for those and respond soon. So thanks, everyone. See ya.